Welcome to the CBIA BizCast powered by Google. On this podcast, we dive into stories about Connecticut businesses.
Downs Construction actually came to my school.
And business leaders.
I think it's always also really important to be able to see a path forward.
We're shaping the future of Connecticut's economy. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amanda Marlowe. Normally, I'm sitting across the table from a business leader talking about how they're helping shape the state's economy. But this week, we're doing things a little bit different. Over the course of the last year, we have heard so many stories about businesses who are innovating, overcoming challenges, and achieving new levels of success, whether it's in manufacturing, healthcare, real estate, public service, law, or banking. All of our guests have had something in common. They've learned invaluable lessons along their journey to success. And as we begin 2024, we wanted to take a look back and share some of those lessons, experiences, and advice with you. Let's dive in. Today we are joined by Leander Dolphin, the managing partner at Shipman & Goodwin.
I have now adopted a new rule, and it's not so new, I've been doing it for the last several years, is that I only plan about 5 years out. Because I don't think if everyone looks back at their life, most people are doing something different than what they thought they would be doing in year 6. So I just really don't put that pressure. I just figure I'm doing what I'm doing now. I'm very committed to it. I love it. I was loving it when I was practicing. Whatever it is, do not set this path that's like a 30-year path because 1, you're unlikely to actually do that. And 2, you want to leave yourself open. Like what if there's another decision to be made in year 3, and you want to be able to have the grace and the flexibility to make those decisions.
I've learned that you have to persevere, that it's harder. And I think the environment gets more difficult, and you have to rely on your team more and more. We have a phenomenal team here at Yale New Haven Health. I am so privileged to work with all of my colleagues. And I think that's something that, you just really lean on when those times are more and more difficult.
Today we are here at Yale New Haven Hospital. We are joined by President and CEO of Yale New Haven Health, Chris O'Connor.
You also have to step back. I think one of the things that I didn't do during Katrina that happened because of the duration of the pandemic was you have to step back and take a break and take care of yourself during this process as well. And I think as leaders, that's something that, we don't really talk about. It creates a vulnerability, but I think it's been very important. And I think it served me well to reinvigorate and get back in and do the work because, again, it's a marathon.
I am joined here by Chris Jewell, the president of Collins & Jewell Company and president of the Eastern Advanced Manufacturing Alliance, RSP, who sponsored today's event.
Yep. Well, that resiliency, that's the big thing. You gotta be perseverant. You have to look at it as a long play. It's not something that you're gonna get return immediately on. Some cases you will. You may get that unicorn that is like gold, but you have to realize that you've got to be patient. You've got to take your time, and you got to look at this as a 5 to 10 year plan, not a 5 to 10 month plan.
My mantra is you always have to put the right people in the right places, and that cannot be a decision that you make emotionally. It has to be a decision that you make for the betterment of your company.
I'm joined today by CEO of Fussin & Neal, Kevin Grigg.
That means look what the governor's done. The quality of people that he's put in charge of his various departments has been unlike anything that I've seen anywhere I've lived in the country. Top-notch people. And similarly, you're doing the same thing with people here at CBIA. I'm trying to do this very same thing within my company, and I'm sure virtually all, if not all of our private business leaders throughout the state are doing the same thing. So the key is, how do you become one of those right people? And I think a lot of that has to do with listening. It's surrounding yourself with good people who are looking forward, not looking in the rearview mirror, people that have a positive outlook, have some ideas to bring to the table, including maybe some new and because they're new, maybe somewhat risky ideas. But it's about collaboration, it's about listening. It's not about talking so much, if there's one thing I've learned to do much better than I used to, it's probably that I've seen my listening skills improve a lot. And I have a lot of employees over the years to thank for teaching me that lesson. And it's one of the primary things I try to pass on to younger employees when they ask, how do you get to be a COO or a CEO? It's make sure that you have your hearing aids, well tuned.
We are joined here by Michael D. Donato, Development Manager at Yukon Innovation Partnership Building.
Thank you for having me. I think probably one of the most valuable traits is curiosity. And I think people see the results of curiosity, but looking for it specifically is a very smart idea. So people who are curious, I think, will accomplish great things. And you can learn so much, and there's so much to learn about. And whether it's with, I love my job. I get to talk to different businesses all the time. I'm so curious to just understand what they're doing. And I think that if they have curiosity too, that they'll go really far. So I would say curiosity is probably underappreciated as one of the core values for success.
We are here at Microboard in Seymour. We're joined by the CEO, Nicole Russo.
I have a fun mantra that I call it triple F, which my family thinks triple F means forced family fun, vacations.
We have that as well.
But for me, it's faith, family, and friends. And my faith is my rock. So when it feels overwhelming and there's a lot coming in, it's like, all right, God, you only give us as much as we can handle, so what door am I opening and closing, right? My family's been amazing. Couldn't do it, like I said. My husband's been staying home with our kids for the last 12 years. He was at GE as well and decided to stay home. So that's been a rock in our family. And then I've got a great network of employees, and my employees are really family and friends. That keeps me really centered, those three. But I think the other thing is we like to have fun. We come to work every day, it's hard. These are long days, we're very fast paced. Customers need, the trajectory for electronics is just nonstop. So they need this product fast. We are running at a fast pace here, trying to fulfill that. So it can be, if you're not careful, if you don't keep yourself fully organized, you can get run over, and then, but have fun doing it. And we have special days here. We have, sports day, bring your pet to the work day with pictures, wear a fascinator for the Derby. I take part in all of it. They're trying to get me in a dunk tank. I haven't agreed to do that yet. We're throwing great 40th galas, and you have to take a breath and a step back and slow down and say, are we enjoying what we're doing? And making sure the employees are feeling that.
I think as a leader, I'm big into values.
We're joined by Karen Frost Spokes and her daughter Zoe. Karen is the vice president of Cobb's Bread USA.
I think that it's, to build that foundation, and I think I mentioned it before, to sort of create that environment where you're bringing people on in that sort of open and honest conversation. I actually just went through the exercise with the leadership team in the US the last 3 to 4 months, and we threw words out and sort of really collaborated, and we came up with our values that actually sounded out magic.
Okay.
Around morale and adaptability and growth and integrity. Thank goodness I pulled that one out. Integrity and then collaboration. And we often refer to it as magic, and everyone's sort of pulling together. So it can't be a one-person show, whether it's the leadership group that we're taking on now or bakeries within their 4 walls. If you don't have the values that you can fall back on when times are tough and really lean in, I think it's just really critical to build that culture, which we've done, which I just think with the leadership crew, it's going to be easier to tackle the next big challenge of coming into the US.
I'm here with the Bright Feeds CEO, Jonathan Fife. Jonathan, welcome to the BizCast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
What advice do you have maybe for, people who are entrepreneurs, maybe kind of stuck in one world and have this idea? What advice do you have for them? I know you had a partner in this, so that was helpful, I'm sure.
I think a lot of the success that we've had is because our team is made up of people with very different skill sets. So without Tim, there's no chance that Bright Feeds would have taken off. And then without Chris and Lakshmi and Dan, there's no way we would have gotten the facility scaled up and the machines working. So I think and Scott on the finance side and sustainability area. So I think the biggest advice I would have is partner with people who look at the world differently than you, have different skill sets. There's way too much to do every day to grow the business, even at a small scale, to do it by yourself.
Making sure that you balance taking care of your customers, your employees, and your shareholders, right? It's important because when you take care of all three, they all end up helping out each other.
We are joined by Lenny Morano, president of Lectra Americas.
Especially, in a either a competitive environment when it goes to keeping employees, when you're in a high inflationary environment that can impact the cost of customers. When you're going through an acquisition and an integration, you have to really balance your focus as a leader. And you can't lose sight of either of those three things. And the other thing I would say is don't aim too low, right? When you look at as a leader, you have to be confident in the team that you've built and confident in what you can ultimately go and achieve. So don't set the bar low.
Today we're joined by Brian Zellman of Zellman Real Estate.
Every opportunity to meet someone new, in the industry or even outside that can have some, effect. There's always a piece of knowledge to be gained, or a name to call down the road when a problem arises, and we say, hey, I remember that person had a solution for something, similar. Maybe we can, put two heads together and solve it.
So we have great ambition. And fundamental belief system and led by a values-based organization. So it really begins with our people, right? We have amazing people. It's the culture of Connecticut. It's the culture of what we've created here at Hartford Healthcare.
Today we are joined by a company that really has made a commitment to improving the economy, especially here in Hartford. We're at Hartford Healthcare with President and CEO Jeff Wax.
We believe that Connecticut deserves world-class healthcare. We can do that here. We also believe that we can be a model health system for the country. So our contributions, what we're creating, has much broader implications. So my advice and counsel is, Connecticut has all the tools. We have the educational systems. We have the talent here to draw from. We have a culture of collaboration and alignment and well-intended people who work together across different industries. So I'm so pro the Connecticut business community. I'm grateful for what the CBIA does. All right, which is critical to creating the sense of community. So I believe it can be done here.
Today we are joined by Dan Whedon. He's a partner and national leader of RSM's Industrials Consulting Practice.
I've learned a lot, and I continue to learn a lot. And I'm a big advocate of sort of collaboration and teamwork, and two minds is better than one, and three is better than two, right? So, I do think that from a leadership perspective, we really have an opportunity to really in continuously, and I've said this a number of times today, but really continuously enhance how we do things, right? Whether that's me working with my teams on a day-to-day basis, or whether that's me working with, my clients on a day-to-day basis. But I'm a big advocate of sort of that, teamwork and collaboration approach, and really sharing insights and information across, our client base, and, from client to client for us, right? I mean, this is the business that, I've been in for, over 20 years. And, I continuously am kind of amazed at the ability of our people and our clients' people to come up with innovative solutions at all levels of the organization, right? And, so some of the best ideas I've ever seen have come from very low levels of the organization, and people just kind of raising their hand and saying, hey, have we ever thought about doing this a different way, right? And kind of challenging the status quo a little bit. And, us as leaders just kind of being open to listening, right? And to kind of hearing some of that feedback and input from people, because, ultimately at the end of the day, whether it's, me leading a team of consultants, or whether it's our manufacturing clients really trying to service their customers, I think that sort of, collaboration and thought leadership and idea generation really is what, drives innovation across the economy.
Today we are joined by Michael Bruder, the Hartford office managing partner at Markham. The past few years have obviously been very difficult. You've seen it all. And I'm sure as a leader, you've been challenged too. Is there anything that, you've learned specifically that you think, or even just hearing, a lot of executives?
Yeah, I learned, we all learned that work can get done in any environment really, from anywhere, which is good. But with that, we've also learned that collaboration is still a very important aspect of business. And we think that, as we've been through the last 3 years, collaboration is probably one of the biggest things that is missing right now, to some extent, that I think we need to get back. And again, it might not be an everyday thing, but I think it's very important to get back into the business community and collaborating with our peers, with our competitors, with our clients, vendors, whoever. I think that's an important thing.
It's funny because I think I could do a pretty good job at advising someone else at this point, but the tricky part is like you could read every book and you could get advice. I think you actually have to do it and get the experience.
We are joined by Bruce Mandel, the chairman of the Hartford Athletic and CEO of DataMail.
I think the experiences I had are on, how do you hire right? We have a great team and a great staff, but it's taken time to get there, and we've made some mistakes along the way. How do you get this culture of a winning culture? How do you build that? We haven't really built that yet. We're still working on that. So those are some challenges that I think if I was to jump in now, I would be able to accelerate that. But I also feel pretty good, and my partners and we have our experiences now, and we're really ready to kind of like go. I say that if I ever wrote a book, it would be like so many mistakes. But the end of it's going to be a championship, stadium, and an amazing community kind of asset that will be here for multi-generations.
And my final piece is that you're in charge. And I think a lot of people sort of, they give away their power for decision-making over their lives, that they feel that life happens to them, work happens to them. And I absolutely reject that. I think that I am in charge, and the things that I don't control, because I don't control everything, I'm in charge of how I respond to this. It makes life a lot more, I feel more agency over my life, and I encourage people to think of it as we are faced with choices every day. And when you're the person making the choices, it makes it easier to get through stuff that might be hard, because there are going to be hard things every day. So that's my advice.
We really do have some phenomenal leaders here in Connecticut who are really, truly helping shape the state's economy, advance businesses, and helping shape the next generation of leaders for our state. We thank you so much for listening to this week's special episode of our BizCast, and we thank all of the leaders who have come on our BizCast this past year and shared their perspectives and insights. And of course, thank you for listening to our BizCast. We hope that you'll continue to listen to this BizCast over the course of the next year. Remember to listen, like, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave us a review and let us know if you have ideas for a future podcast. And as always, head on over to CBIA.com for a full list of episodes.